Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, lavidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now. Like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, y'all. So finally, we are into the C19 quarantine episodes, and I heard there was only going to be like 2 or 3. I can only imagine because you can't really have cameramen and production all in your house, you know, spreading things around. Everything was locked down. They even said that production got shut down, so that threw a wrench in the whole process. They were not able to do decision day on the 2-month mark, and I was confused on the timeline. So if y'all could tell me the timeline down below. They said they were on lockdown for 44 days, and so okay, that would mean, I'm thinking that would be like the 2nd month they were together, so maybe like 15 days longer than what they would have been. I don't know. Y'all let me know down below, because I was kind of confused, and I honestly didn't really try hard to figure it out. Maybe y'all could tell me what it was. But anyway, this filming was more on the documentary style, because they had to film their own scenes, and then they had, you know, like the above head cameras, like security cam footage. And so, you know, they weren't able to catch a lot of what happened, so we basically had to go off of word of mouth of what, you know, they said that happened. I mean, who is gonna think to pick up a camera, or who is even gonna want to pick up a camera? And, you know, when you're fighting with your spouse, like, no one wants to do that. So I imagine we did miss a lot of the heated moments that we probably would have, you know, wanted to see. But anyway, let's just go ahead and get into the couples. I'm gonna start with Amelia and Bennett. So while in quarantine, Amelia cut her own hair, and I feel like, you know, we all can relate to being stir crazy, even to this day for me, and wanting to do different things and try different things. And she was just like, I'm just gonna cut my hair. And it actually looks good. I like the haircut more than her long hair. It came out that Bennett only uses 1 square of toilet paper to wipe. And I'm like, okay, I hope you don't mean for number 2, because I'm like, ain't no way that 1 little square is holding up under all that pressure. And she was talking about how commendable it was. I was like, girl, stop it. Also, Bennett, during the quarantine, he discusses his worry about the collapse of the economy, and I think that got his wheels to turning a little bit more. Now that he's married or whatever, we're gonna discuss like Bennett wanting to be more responsible later on, but I think that's one of the things that got the ball rolling for him. And then we find out that Amelia got her residency in Virginia, and so, you know, Virginia and New Orleans, that might as well be a million miles away. So, you know, we're all like waiting, like, what is Bennett gonna say? They did this long dramatic, like, they made us wait so long to find out Bennett's reaction to her having to go to Virginia. So I'm gonna make y'all wait too. So all of the couples met individually with the experts. Since the experts were not able to be there in their normal capacity, the women met with Dr. Pepper and the men met with Pastor Cal. And Amelia basically was just saying how much she liked Bennett, how much they just grown closer even during this quarantine. She wants his baby next year. He said he wanted to wait 5. I'm like, girl, you better listen to Bennett, because he's the one who is gonna be like at the house with the kids. So she literally, you know, you need to listen to him on that one. And then when they brought up her residency, she said she's gonna be going regardless. And you know, she just, you know, she was a little concerned about how Bennett felt about it, and Dr. Pepper was just like, well, make sure you tell him how you feel. And then we see Bennett talk with Pastor Cal, and he's like, he wants to make sure he has a financially viable career before he has kids, And Pastor Cal was like, you've been winging it as a bachelor. And, you know, he didn't really go too hard on Bennett, but look, I'm glad Bennett saw it for himself. You are a grown man with a wife, and y'all want to have a family, and it finally clicked to him. I don't know if it took C19 or what, but it clicked to him that he's going to need to, you know, do something with his life and pursue dreams that can financially provide for you and your family. You know what I'm saying? And also I think maybe a lot of his dreams, his theater dreams, got shut down because of C19 and, you know, people not being able to go in a theater. And yeah, I feel like that could be a little devastating for him, but I'm glad in a way it's good for him because it kind of kickstarted him to like pursuing something else that could possibly support them financially. So when they met up with each other afterwards, she said she really wants this baby, but she doesn't want him to feel stifled. She doesn't want him to look at the baby and be like, oh, now I got to provide for this baby and I didn't get to chase my dream. You know, she wants him to be happy. So that was sweet of Amelia to consider his feelings. And so when they discussed her residency, you know, he decided that he wants to split time between New Orleans and Virginia. And it's like, boy, you gonna be in Virginia with Amelia. Y'all gonna find some new artsy fartsy friends to hang out with and do, you know, your creative arts things with. But how you gonna split your time between New Orleans and Virginia? Who gonna buy the plane tickets? But anyway, I like the way that Amelia reacted. She was completely grateful to him for, you know, supporting her. And yeah, they just are really sweet and supportive towards one another. And it's crazy how this quarantine has ripped a lot of them apart, but Amelia and Bennett, it seemed to draw them closer. So they're doing great. Let's move on to another couple that's doing great. Let's get the lovebirds out of the way. Amani and Woody. So we opened to their relationship with Woody snoring like as loud as possible. Y'all, that's one thing I'm scared of when I get married. I'm scared I'm gonna get married to somebody who snores really loud and I don't know how I'm gonna sleep in the bed. I need chill. Like, I like a nice white noise, you know, maybe like an air conditioning sound. I'll like pull up air conditioning sounds on my YouTube just so I can sleep. Like, but a loud it was funny because she woke him up. She was like, you're snoring. And then like he was just like, and then went right back to snoring. It was so funny. So Amani finally fell in love with Woody. Well, I feel like Amani finally allowed herself to feel those feelings of love for Woody, because I feel like she already did. But she gave him gifts for each of the senses, and I think she said something like life made more sense with you, or something really sweet. And then 2 weeks later, they had this argument about girls being in Woody's DMs, hypothetical girls in Woody's DMs, because it seems like they didn't even get to the point where she even checked his DMs to like see if anything was going on. Like, they were literally arguing over the fact that she wanted to, and she claimed she was joking in the beginning, and then Woody took it serious. It was just a huge, big communication, according to them. I feel like it was, because when they sat down and talked to Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, they didn't even bring that up as anything major. It literally had to be pulled out, and they were like, oh, but that's nothing. And I believe them. I don't think they're trying to cover anything up. They've been really honest and genuine up until now. I think that was the show literally trying to pull any drop of drama they could out of them. When Amani was talking to Dr. Pepper and she asked her what her biggest concern was, Amani said is when they'll have kids. And she wants to wait 2 years, and Woody, you know, Woody wanted to have a honeymoon baby. So really it's up to Amani, because Woody is ready and willing at any time. Pastor Cal was like, okay, y'all are really doing good. Y'all are succeeding at this stage, but y'all have to keep communicating, because at any point in time that could flip. So you know, they're doing really good. Like, all I can say is I'm just so happy and proud of them for, you know, making it this far. Woody has proven us all wrong. I mean, even he made it way past the decision day, quarantine, and they're still like just as happy as they were before, even happier. So, you know, I'm so happy for them. It's like the quarantine really didn't affect the couples that were doing well anyway. In fact, it probably drew them closer together because they had to spend more time with one another. And, you know what I'm saying, they had to depend upon one another, that they only have each other during this quarantine. So it made them closer. But the couples that were not, it seemed to really rattle them, and we're gonna get to it. So let's move on to Henry and Christina. I ain't gonna say I'm gonna wait till we get to it, but I feel a way about Christina. So Henry has been working from home at his old apartment. He works at a hospital, and like the first responders have been like very busy, obviously, because of C-19, and you know, it just threw everything out of whack. So he's been very busy with that, and I can understand him needing his own space to work because that apartment is really small. So and then okay, we see a montage of them, like, you know, being around each other in like their living area on the couch, and not once did we see them snuggle up, touch, hold each other. It just seems like they're further and further driving themselves into the friend zone, just from like what we've seen on the video. It was Henry's 35th birthday, okay? Henry's getting phone calls, texts, you know, everybody wishing him, you know, their best wishes on his birthday. Christina forgot, okay? And okay, it's C-19. I had to remember everything was closed and all of that. So you probably wasn't able to get a cake or, you know, anything festive. Oh, well, then again, you could go to Walmart. I'm sure you could go to Walmart and get a little something. You could do a little something. Walmart was open. No, that ain't no excuse. Never mind. She could have did a little something. And Henry kind of felt away because he was like, you know, well, you know, we did just get together, and, you know, maybe she forgot, but, you know, if I would have done that, it would have been blown up. And I totally agree. She would have had a fit if Henry would have forgot her birthday. Henry said Christina went for a walk around 2 o'clock in the daytime. And he said she didn't look like she was dressed for a walk. She had on, like, you know, a nice little outfit, makeup. But she said she was going for a walk, so she went. And time went by, went to be like 12 o'clock at night. And then he realized that she wasn't answering texts, and so he asked the other wives, like, you know, have you heard from her? They said that she posted on her social media. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna leave and be gone all night, at least not post on your social media that you're out with friends having fun. Like, at least be more secretive if you're not gonna tell your husband where you're going. I always think it's trash when these couples just leave and don't come back and don't even let their partner know that they're gone. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing that you can't tell your partner? And this is during quarantine. Christina met up with Dr. Pepper, and she says she's constantly trying to figure Henry out. He's always leaving, and she said he's going to the grocery store twice a day and never thinks to get her anything. So, you know, I understand, you know, going to the grocery store every day just to have something to do during quarantine. I totally understand that. I don't think that Henry's out doing anything, you know, devious just because he goes to the grocery store. I mean, that's the only thing that was open. But getting her something, yeah, he could have got her something. And Dr. Pepper said, well, have you been vulnerable? And she said, yes, it seems like he cares, and that's the only time she feels like he cares. She said, next time you're being vulnerable, hold his hand and eliminate the distance between you two and, you know, the friend zone that's emerging. So then Henry meets up with Pastor Cal. Henry was just like, they don't have much in common. Like, the more time they spent together, the more they realize, you know, that we don't watch the same things. We don't have the same hobbies. They just are not alike in any way. They're just not compatible. They both just sit there. They both just sit there in the house. He said there's a pattern of dishonesty from the beginning, and he's been letting it slide. Pastor Cal was like, well, what has she been dishonest about? He said she lied about her living situation, and we remember that, like when they went to go see each other's places and she didn't have a place to take him to, and then they showed on her wedding day that she lied about living somewhere that she didn't actually live. And he said that she was living in the CBD in New Orleans, and then she said she lived in an Airbnb, and then she was homeless. And a lot of y'all in the comments been saying that she was homeless. Henry confirmed it. Henry confirmed it. And then he told Pastor Cal about her leaving at 2, dressed up, and didn't come home. Henry was like, you know, I know I'm hard to deal with. I know I'm not easy to communicate with. And Pastor Cal stopped him, and he was like, look, you are very clearly defining what you want, and you need to confront her. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can change those ways that you have, Henry. You don't have to live like, you know, someone who is afraid to confront these major situations. You actually have to if you want to be in a relationship. So that's exactly what he did. When they sat down together, Henry confronted her about her living situation, and she immediately got defensive, because I feel like she got defensive because her car got pulled, and she didn't see that coming. She never thought Henry would actually confront her about that. You could tell she was really rattled. She tried to act like she didn't say that she lived in the CBD when we have it on tape, and even Henry said that, like, it's on tape. We talked about it on camera. Oh, Henry was getting her together, like, with everything she said. Any sort of excuse she tried to bring up, Henry was like, no, because you said it on camera. No, because this is what you told me. No, because don't try to act like I say whatever you want to hear. I'm honest. So she ended up breaking down, crying. I feel like she was definitely playing the victim, definitely trying to get out of this situation because she didn't know what to say. And so she eventually stormed out because she didn't want to get to the real. Definitely not on camera. But she didn't want to be honest, so she ran out. Then the next thing you know, all of this happened off camera. So the next thing you know, Christina is telling Henry, like, if you think I cheated on you, I did not cheat on you. That is not what happened. And, you know, Henry was like, okay. And then the next thing she said was a reliable source told her that this is a man, said that he was texting him and he had an affair with him. And obviously Henry denied it, and he said that he wanted to see the text because the person is lying. And she basically was like, well, you are always gone. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think this whole time Christina has been very passive aggressive and vindictive. Okay, I feel like because Henry called Christina out on camera, because mind you, Christina hates the camera, she hates production, she hates all of this situation that has to do with being filmed. So I feel like on top of the fact that she hated being called out and exposed, it happened on camera. So I feel like she was even more so angry at Henry and was looking for revenge. And I feel like this is the way she's doing it. I feel like she pulled this whole situation out so that she can have an excuse for her lying. Well, look at what he's doing. And having everybody question his character. I feel like this is so nasty and so rude, and I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think Henry, you know, I don't get that from Henry. I think Henry is just a very meek and mild person, and, you know, very laid back. You know, he'll stand up for himself when he has to. I don't see him being that big of a fraud, because for the most part he has been honest. What has Henry lied about? You know, even when it comes to whatever, you know, tick he may have, something that may be wrong with him, he even has admitted to possibly having a problem. He just doesn't know for sure. He hasn't been diagnosed with anything, so he can't say exactly what it is. But Henry has been honest and forthcoming with everything. So for him to be hiding a whole secret relationship while simultaneously being filmed for being married to somebody on TV, that just doesn't strike me as something that he would do and think he could get away with. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like this is something vindictive that Christina has come up with. Even if she didn't come up with the idea per se, let's say someone did come to her with this, I don't think she truly believed it to even confront him about it. And also, if you do believe it, why won't you let him see the messages? Why won't you let him see the messages so he can confront this person himself? Because they lying on him, according to him. So yeah, I just thought that was disgusting, and I hope Christina gets called out. We didn't get to hear her side of the story. Hopefully we get to see what she has to say about this. Hopefully she really gets confronted at this reunion, because hopefully there is a reunion. Is there going to be a reunion? But anyway, y'all, I was disgusted. Let's move on to Karen and Miles. So during this time, Karen is also someone that works with hospitals, and she's been working to assist the first responders dealing with C-19. So she's going through her own stuff right now with work, and I'm sure it's very strenuous and all of that. I'm sure. Like, I don't want to discount that at all. Meanwhile, Miles has been at home because obviously the schools have been shut down. So he's been at home and bored, not knowing what to do. And Karen was kind of concerned with that, because she said she didn't know how to deal with him necessarily, because she doesn't know how he's handling the situation. This is something that could trigger his depression, you know. She just didn't know how to handle it. And I'm just like, okay, you might not know how to handle it specifically, but you can, if you know that this could possibly be triggering him in a negative way, you think you would be giving him a little bit more attention. You think you would finally give him a little bit of affection. You know what I'm saying? Finally, love upon him a little bit, because this isn't easy for him. As much as he's doing for you during this quarantine, he's cooking for you, he's, you know, he's being Miles. He's being attentive and trying to attend to all of your needs, even though, you know, you're busy. You can do a little bit of something for him too, as much as like laying your head on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, taking out 5 minutes and telling him how much you appreciate him. Something. She could do something, and she's not. And that's the problem that I have with Karen. She doesn't do anything. Everything is catered to Karen. It's all about Karen, 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 when you need to be giving him something. It's not fair. It's not. It was also just really sad to watch these cameras whenever you would see them on the couch, and he would do everything he can to get like a tiny inkling of attention. Like, they'll be on opposite ends of the couch, and he'll be reaching his hand over trying to like just touch her arm. He tried to snuggle up on her, and she did everything but pull away. She was just so stiff. Like, I know she was working, but at least let him lay on your shoulder. Like, he would just want to, come on. Like she refused to give him anything. It was so rude. So she meets with Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pepper gives her the real, okay? She tells her everything is catered to your needs, everything. And she made some comments to Miles that would turn any man off about his masculinity. And, you know, she's been saying it pretty much since the honeymoon, like been talked about not knowing if he was going to be masculine enough for her, and, you know what I'm saying, questioning his masculinity. So she brought that up to him, and how dare you? Like, that is so insulting to a man to question his masculinity. Like, I don't know if there's any right way to do that. She says she wants somebody masculine and not a girlfriend, and that Miles basically said, "Hey sis," to her. This part really, y'all, this part really made me mad, because Karen cannot take a joke. She has no sense of humor whatsoever. Karen might as well be 82 years old. She doesn't have any sort of reference for anything pop culture, social media, nothing. When I think about it, she didn't know what Salt Bae was. Who don't know what Salt Bae is? Karen ain't that much older than me. You know what I'm saying? She's 30. So you don't know who Salt Bae is. Whenever he wrote that thing on the calendar about, you know, this day we're gonna be intimate, that was a complete joke, and it was completely lost on her, went over her head. She didn't get it. She made a huge deal about it to the point where she didn't even come home that night. And then we come to this. Hey sis, Miles is someone that jokes, right? I'm someone that jokes too. So, and I feel like we all know somebody like Miles that jokes around like that, or have talked to a guy that hears the way we talk to our friends and mimics that. Like, what's up, girl? Like, you ain't never had a man do that to you, like, in a joking way. You know what I'm saying? Like, he probably heard one of your friends call you or talk to you and say, hey sis, and so he said it in a joking manner. I doubt Miles really came home and was dead serious about saying, hey sis. Like, I doubt it. I just don't see that being true. He's a really fun, goofy person that likes to make light of things. Like, you know, who wants to be serious all the time? Karen can be such a stick in the mud. I feel like he be trying to make her loosen up a little bit. Like, even when she be talking, she's very like, and that's how she is when she talks. I feel like he be trying to like get her to let her hair down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she always takes him dead serious. I don't understand that, y'all. She got zero, either she has zero self-awareness or can't perceive other people. You know, like, she only has one realm of perception for how a man should be, or she's completely gaslighting him. Every little thing she does, she takes a 1 and make it a 10. I don't know. I can't place her. I don't know which one it is, but either way, I don't like that she's consistently picking at him over every little thing. She says she doesn't want him to repress his feelings because she feels he's gonna feel resentful to her later on. And so they got into it during this quarantine, and he told her that she isn't trying, and if it were the decision day, he would say no. And I'm so happy that Miles said that with his whole chest. It was time for Miles to put his foot down. I feel like if this quarantine had not happened, Miles would not have, you know, been up to here with her mess. And so I'm so glad that he finally put his foot down and told her exactly how he felt about this situation, because it was getting out of hand. And so she was sitting up there crying about it. And I'm like, is this not what you wanted from him? Is this not what you wanted for him to tell you the truth? And now you can't handle it. Now you feel like it's too much. And now you want to appreciate him now that he don't want to be with you? Is that what it took, really? We all knew it. We all knew it would take for Miles to like go off on her one good time for her to appreciate him. But that's so toxic and dysfunctional. So then Miles met up with Pastor Cal. Miles said when this quarantine first started, he was looking forward to spending time with her. And she just didn't. She didn't open up to him at all. He said he just does not feel cared for at all. Then they showed a clip of him asking her, like, how do you feel about quarantining together? And she said, I'm glad we have an extra room. Now, I was watching this with my grandma. My grandma went off. My grandma was so done with Karen when she said that. I'm glad we have an extra room so I can get away from you and you can stop trying to be around me so much. How rude. Like, how nasty to say. Like, even as a joke. This is such a rough thing to be going through. And you already said you was concerned about his mental health. Obviously not too much. So he said the hardest thing is for her to show intimacy. And he doesn't think she has the capacity to give it to him. They didn't kiss. They ain't been doing nothing. You know, he said them 2 little pecks they'd had before, it didn't mean nothing. That happened on camera. It was performative because they ain't been really kissing much past that. And definitely haven't had anything physical further. He got mad at her for questioning his masculinity, as well as any man would. I feel like that's probably what pushed his last button with her. But he was direct and blunt with her for the first time. and he was out of patience. Pastor Cal said it was good that he went out of your patience box. You needed to get out of that patience box because what you were doing was not working. You was, you know, overcompensating and, you know, babying her in a way. And in turn, she needs to leave her emotional box, step out of her comfort zone, and actually show, you know, some more concern for Miles if she wants it to work. Just like he had to step out of his box, she has to step out of hers. And I'm saying she's stuck in these antiquated social constructs of what she thinks a man is. I don't know if her father is a certain way and she wants Miles to be that same way. I don't know if her ex relationships have been that way, but girl, look what happened in your ex relationships. He had a baby on you. I feel like she needed him to go off on her one good time for her to like realize this is what she really wanted. Because why else would she be crying over Miles unless she wanted him? So I feel like that does show that she maybe does care for him, but it took her getting dogged out. Well, not dogged out, but it took drama. It took drama. It took him going off on her for her to realize it, and that's just toxic. And at this point, it's like, girl, I feel like you have a lot of making up to do because Miles has done all the work in this relationship, and it's your turn. It's your turn. And I feel like if you put in the work, Miles will easily reciprocate. Usually we're used to seeing a woman in Miles' place and a man in Karen's, but it's the same situation. Like, she needs to put in that work, and that's if Miles is willing to reciprocate at this point. Because if he wants to leave her, I don't see no problem with that. He put in his time, and if he's done, cut her off. But if you want to work on it, work on it. But don't settle for less. Keep putting your foot down until she does what she's supposed to do, and if she don't, leave her. Cause I don't blame you. I don't know who would want to stick around. So let's move on to Olivia and Brett. So Olivia has been working at the hospital. We know she's a nurse practitioner. So she's been up and close and personal with C19. Keep that in mind. We'll get to why that matters later. So whenever they're around each other, you see that they're not as close. You remember on the last episode, we saw them like snuggling up and seem like they're like getting more intimate. It seems like the more time passed with this quarantine, the farther and farther they got pushed apart. Brett didn't like the fact that when he was showing her a movie that he wanted her to see, that she was constantly on her phone. He really wants to figure out this living situation with his house because he owns his house. So he wants her to come to the house and, you know, just like maybe you could fix some things up and, you know, let's just figure this out. She never came to his house, and he obviously felt a way about it. So during this time, both of them feel like there have been no growth and no communication between the two. She feels they are stagnant and not getting to know one another. This is where the big turning point in their relationship happened. She went to go visit her mom, who lives far away. Apparently, she would have to drive a long distance to go see her. And Brett didn't think that was a good idea because, you know, they were on lockdown during that time and everybody was supposed to be remaining in the household. And so he felt very strongly about her not going, and she disregarded his feelings and went anyway. And Brett was really, really upset about that. I don't think she knew how mad he was, because when she got home, Brett was gone. Brett packed up everything. The cabinets were empty. And also, he said he was going to move the cat to his house anyway because her cats have been fighting his cat and scratching his cat up. So he was going to be moving there anyway, but he decided to just go on and take all his stuff and move. And so when she got back, she was in complete shock because he did not even tell her that he was moving all of his stuff out. I mean, he took everything. She came up to an empty house, which I know was really upsetting. Like, I mean, he could have done it in a more tactful way. So when talking to Dr. Pepper, she told her that Olivia had asked Brett if he was scared about C19, and he was genuinely panicked about the situation, you know, as a lot of us were. You know, a lot of us took it really seriously and was concerned about catching it and what would happen if you catch it, and you know, just a lot of terrible things have happened to people that caught it. So obviously he would be panicked about it, but because she faced it every single day, I think she has built up a wall against those feelings about it, or maybe she knows more about it. I don't know, she just doesn't feel that same way, so she brushed off his feelings. And so when he told her that he didn't want her to travel, she brushed all of that off, and that's not cool. But she feels like him just leaving and taking everything and leaving nothing but the coffee pot was a complete overreaction. And she confronted him about it, and Brett was just like, I told you I was gonna move. And she was just like, you know, I guess she didn't think fat meat was greasy, or she just didn't take him serious, or what. But I believe Brett when he said he told her. So when he met with Pastor Cal, Brett told Pastor Cal that he thinks their big issues, you know, with kids and finances were just too much, and they would have too much to compromise, and he felt like he was doing more compromising than she was. And also there was an extreme lack of intimacy, and they have been regulated to the friend zone. And I low-key feel like Olivia is probably a little bit of a tease, like, you know, hug and kiss a little bit here and there, but then when it gets to a certain point, you just shut everything down. And you know, at this point, it's like Brett didn't really have much to hold on to. Like, he doesn't have the intimacy, y'all don't agree on finances, and you don't want kids. And those are like 3 major things in a relationship that will tear any relationship apart. There was nothing for him to stay for. You know what I'm saying? She didn't really give him anything to stay for. And you know, pretty much Brett said he was done. He told Pastor Cal that, and Pastor Cal was like, he doesn't want you to regret not trying. He didn't want to force him to try, but he doesn't want him to give up without, you know, exhausting every attempt. And so Brett had already made up his mind though. So when they both sat down with one another, you know, Olivia came into it willing to try to work it out, even though he had moved out. And Brett didn't come there with the same mindset. So when they sat down together, Brett brought up the fact that, you know, he wants kids in the next couple of years. And she said she wanted to wait 5 or 6 because of her career. And, you know, she just wants to spend more time being motherless, or not having kidsless. And she said, I never said I didn't want to have kids. And I'm like, Olivia, the way you act, you might as well have said that. Like, anytime kids come up, she just doesn't seem like she wants to have them. And I don't know if she's lying to herself or what, but clearly it just seems like she doesn't want kids. And she asked if he wanted to work on the relationship, and he's like, no thanks. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then he looked at his watch like, are we done? I was like, dang, Brett. And I'm just like, Olivia, you wanted to wait until the last minute to try. You wanted to wait until the last minute to put in any sort of effort that didn't require you picking at Brett. Any criticism that you had for this relationship was at Brett. You didn't really look at yourself and criticize yourself. When Brett brought up issues that he had with you, you always got too defensive and didn't want to change your ways, but always wanted him to change his. So I could understand why Brett would not want to stay. Like I said before, you didn't really give him anything to want to hold on to. And I've always said in the past, it was Brett's delivery that bothered me. I didn't mind, like, for the most part, during this whole time, I agreed mostly with what Brett had to say. But it was his delivery that was trash. It was like he got sarcastic, he would get defensive, he would be rude about it. But what he was saying was not wrong. So what I'm saying to Olivia is, you need to examine yourself, because I don't know anybody who's going to want to deal with someone who is not compromising in any way, shape, or form, and gonna blame everybody else for the issues in their relationship and not take responsibility for any. Because yeah, Brett's personality can make it easy for you to be a victim, but you can't put all the blame on him. He at least was trying to bend to your demands a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And was Brett wrong for moving out without telling her yes? But I also think she was overlooking his feelings in a lot of ways. I think she wasn't taking him seriously with how he felt, because if she did, she would have known he was already up to here with everything. So she kind of realized it at the last minute when it's too late, and they are where they are. I feel like last episode I saw that Brett actually cared about Olivia, and he actually did seem like he was trying to, you know, be there and try to work. But this quarantine, that didn't help nothing. I feel like it just gave him more time, along with his own thoughts, to realize that this wasn't gonna work. And Olivia, you already knew it wasn't gonna work. I think she just wanted to be the one to break it up and say it wasn't gonna work, because she already was trying to rule the whole relationship. Anyway, y'all, that's it. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this review. I want to know your thoughts and opinions. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.